Well, Arthur, your side certainly came back in the last 10 minutes. You may be disappointed we didn't see that last 10 minutes in the preceding 80.
I think we did at periods, and the game's decided by set pieces in the end. It's not decided because we're getting opened up in open play, but we needed to defend better on our set pieces, and we weren't able to do that both in the first half and the second half. And in the end, that's the difference in the game.
How frustrating is that for you as a coach? Set pieces, there's something you work on in the training track, and then it just doesn't come off, and their centre back gets a brace.
Yeah, I'm disappointed because clearly the details, they're being addressed, but they're not actually being executed. So it's disappointing for the group because performance-wise, it's still up there, but it's obviously difficult to take because the result is still the result as well. And we have the chances as well to score. And it's a team that doesn't concede goals, and yet we've created, some really high-quality chances where either the final ball's off or we should be putting it in the back of the net and we don't hit the target. So it's disappointing.
Looking at, not just a set piece that leads to the opening goal, but you would run the blind pass that leads to the corner that leads to the opening goal. Was that part of the rationale that makes you guys go to 3 at the back in the second half?
No, that's not part of the rationale. The pass is an errant pass, which needs to concentrate better, and then that leads to the corner, which leads to the goal as well. I mean, the reality is they've also made errant passes throughout the game, and doesn't mean that you have to concede from it as well. So you need to be able to concentrate still on your set pieces. We went to a back 3 because we worked on it in our break. It was something we knew that if we need to change, we can change to it, automatically in the game. And I thought, just help disrupt their organisation because they're a well-organised team, they're deep, and allowed us to overload the midfield and not use as many numbers in the build-up as well. So, it was positive from that point of view that we could change within a game and get outcomes from that as well. And like I said, I think we still had the chances to at least finish the game level.
Might not be easy to kind of determine in the immediate wash, but do you think that kind of change has that kind of impact if you make it earlier in the game, like let's say from half time to around the 60th minute?
It probably has a more impact at 1-0, but in 53 minutes when you go to 2-0, in the end, I'd prefer to lose 3 and 4-0, to be honest, and just sit there on 2-0 and let the game filter out as well. So we had spoken about it at half-time that if we didn't feel we got back in the game, we could change to that. Ideally, we didn't change at 2-0, we changed at 1-0. But again, it's not because, like I said, the goals conceded are from set pieces. So that's separate to general play. General play is if you get opened up, okay, you need to look at structural areas. Set pieces are you need to look at your details on set pieces and who's marking and what the zones are doing and there's a lot of details individually within that, and we haven't covered them.
Is that going to be your message to the boys about the open play aspect? Because obviously it's going to be disappointing. They could have gone into the top 6 today with a win. Is that how you keep their heads up?
I don't think there's a problem to keep their heads up. We're playing good football still. I know it's difficult to absorb, losing a game like this, but that's what they've become good at as well. So credit to them because, they go in front and they make it difficult for teams. But I don't think also they've been in a position where a team comes at them so hard for the period of the game that we kept going for 35, 40 minutes. And, we knew they concede majority of their goals after the 76th minute of play as well. So, there was possibilities there to go and at least get level, and also they had a couple of opportunities because we opened ourselves up on the counter, but that's part and parcel of being behind and chasing the game as well.
Yeah, you must ask, obviously had a better view of it than what we did from up in the box, but the Nikolai Thomas-Stanley challenge at the end there obviously was initially given the red card and then it was waved away and given a yellow. I guess what was your thoughts on that? Was that a fair sort of summation in the end by the ref, or?
I don't think it was a red, to be honest, from what I saw. Like I don't want to have players getting sent off for no reason, no matter what the context of a game is. That's not, what we're looking to do. It's not what I'm about either, I haven't seen it enough, but of course, don't want him getting sent off if it's not a red card. But I think if we're going to start reviewing, red cards, then we need to review a lot of situations that evolved in that game and weren't reviewed and were basically brushed away. And, it's difficult when you can't even just talk on the side about why is this decision being made. So in the end, congratulations to them, and I'm not going to make it about referees.
Just a comment on Ali Babal. I mean, opened up his account last week, came on, provided an option inside the box. It looks like he's starting to get that confidence back. I guess in terms of his progression, how have you seen it over the last little bit?
Look, he gave us a good link up, and you know, we had some opportunities prior to him coming on, and when he was on, where we just needed to pass the ball a little bit better into the box, and we're literally tapping it in one touch and we're hitting it out of play. He gets his chance, he needs to score that, to be honest. That's a great opportunity from good play to get into that area, and that's, you know, that's the challenge as well. That, you know, last week he was able to impact it. Today he impacted the game, but also had the opportunity that unfortunately didn't go in.
Speaking of adjustments, with Ronaldo coming on for Severa at the start this season, thoughts on how, you know, the two worked in relation to how the game was panning out?
In regards to Sammy and Ollie?
Sammy and Ollie.
Oh, when Ollie came on, it was in a different structure. So, you know, he was a lot more connected with Becca, you know, able to play in tighter areas between him, Daniel and Becca. And we still had width in the game, you know, with playing with some wing backs. So I thought he did really well. And again, you know, like I can't fault the effort to get back into the game. I mean, you know, most teams when they're 1-0 down against Western United, the game's over, let alone 2-0 down, and get back into the game and probably feel that come the end of the game, you know, you're disappointed not to at least have scored that second goal. So I can't fault the effort, but we need to improve still.
Firstly, coming out of this one, any injury or fitness concerns coming out of this game? And two, what does your preparation for Wellington look like?
It doesn't seem like there's any injuries, like, you know, in terms of that area, you know, physically, you can see the way we're running at the end of a game as well. I mean, physically, there's no problems in the group whatsoever, and it's just details that have got to improve. So we'll have an opportunity to get back on the field again and prepare for Wellington, who's in a good run of form, and that's an important game for us.
Do you feel as though that fitness and the way that your side's clearly been absorbing what you want them to do as the season goes on, do you feel this is a side that is really going to finish the league strongly? We're seeing some other sides, fatigue's getting to them, they're struggling. Do you feel your side's going to get stronger as the weeks go on?
The one thing I haven't had, you know, I had concerns probably about our physical state after the restart, and that was for obvious reasons. And apart from that, I think we're one of the fittest teams in the league. I think, you know, mobility-wise, our movement, ability to press and repeat that consistently is clear that we can do that. It's still not enough to win games. You've got to win games with other areas as well. You just can't rely purely on physically how good you are to win your games. And you know, we're not covering other areas in particular today. So what we know in the bank is we've got a lot of physical work that, you know, is in the bank, and we can rely on that, and then there's no reason why we can't keep improving.
All but one of your games so far this season has seen over 3 goals. How frustrating is it for you the inability to keep a clean sheet?
Yeah, it's frustrating, but, you know, I try not to get emotional about these things, because in the end we're also scoring in every game no matter who we play. So I look at it both ways. I think, you know, like I said, if I dissect those goals, how are those goals scored? They're scored, you know, from restarts. So it's a specific way, and it's happened a few times. So something isn't working, and I need to fix it. That's for sure. But in saying that, I think, you know, there was a stage in that game where, you know, I like the fact that we're trying to have a go all the time, because in fairness, when the game keeps getting stopped for 1 minute to 2 minutes for the ball to get back into play, I don't even think that's something I want to watch either. So in fairness, you know, I'm proud of the way we go about playing, and we've got to get better, like, that's for sure.
Zoom?
Yeah, I would like, yeah, sorry, no, yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Jimmy.
Halfway point of the season, that's 13 games gone. Is this where, I mean, points-wise, it's probably not, but is this where you expect it to be, and where is the greatest growth they can make the second half of the season?
No, it's not where we expect it to be, that's for sure. I can't say I'm satisfied with where we are. No matter, you know, the games we've played where I think we should get something, other games where we come away with something and I don't think we play well enough. It's about performances, and the performances still need to become more consistent in all phases of play. And it's halfway point of the season, so there's no champions at the halfway point of the season. That's what I know, you know. And I think there's been some pretty good examples of teams in the past, you know, that basically, you know, weren't where they wanted to be at the halfway point. It can go on the run, or it can go the other way as well. So what's important is that you focus on, you know, every day and just getting better on the details, that how we're trying to play. And you know, it's a journey we're on, and sometimes it's not perfect, but I'm perfectly okay with that as well because I understand that.
But you played the top 3 teams in the last 3 games, and obviously twice. Obviously, you've got Melbourne, you've got Wellington coming up. That was probably your best performance, mate, when you beat it 4-0. Is that a little bit maybe they need, or is that where is that the positives you talk about this week, heading into that midweek game? Or?
No, not really, because at the stage where we played Wellington, I think they literally had 3 points possibly or something along those lines at the time, and they've shown what a good run of form can do. So they're an improved side. They've strengthened in the window considerably. I mean, they brought in 2 foreigners within the window, have had a big impact for them. So they're a different proposition. They'll have a lot more confidence than the first time, and if anything, they've probably got a point to prove against us. So we need to be absolutely at our best to get a strong performance to get the result.
Well, the next 2 days will be about set pieces essentially and defending. I mean, because tonight's not the first time you've conceded. I don't know if it's the stats, but you've conceded a fair amount of goals from set pieces. It's sort of been the area that's been the Achilles heel.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So we won't spend 2 days on them, that's for sure, because that's a lot of time, but obviously it needs to be addressed. So we'll review as per normal, we'll get back on the field, and we'll also focus on a lot of positives. And there was a lot of positives in our football. You know, I just can't get drawn in that it's all negative. It's absolutely not, to be honest. There's a lot to take away from that performance, and unfortunately the results are thief sometimes, and everyone will just look at the result as the overriding idea, but there's positives in that performance, and there's things to work on, set pieces being one of them.
Speaking of positives, Gus has scored again. Really, probably not going to make a highlights reel, but still he's getting in those positions, and we saw him at the other end make that crucial block or get back and track and do the things we know he's good at. Graham Arnold was speaking about him prior to him getting COVID. Should he be in a conversation? Is he playing well enough to be on the periphery of that national call-up if he keeps progressing the way he is?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, Graham's got enough on his plate, and I haven't had a conversation with him about it, to be honest. But I'm sure that, you know, if he feels Gus is a player that can add to the national setup, that Gus will go there and give 100%, and if not, he'll keep improving with us until he gets to that point.
I know one of the stars going is Daniel Pena looked pretty frustrated. He was getting a lot of treatment, a lot of defensive attention. I'll put it nicely. But he's a playmaker. Teams have identified him. Does he need a bit more protection from referees? Is that something that you've noticed with the impact he's had? The teams are tough.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're targeting physically, but they certainly put a lot of attention on.
Yeah, but I don't think. I think the frustration comes from the amount of time it takes to get a ball back in play. To be honest, that's where his frustration's coming from, and he's trying to express himself. And culturally, that's how he expresses himself as well. So, in fairness, there was another incident in the game where one of their players, who's from overseas as well, expressed himself in a very strong fashion. But I don't think he was trying to be offensive. But that wasn't cautioned. So the caution comes from him just expressing his disappointment at the flow of the game consistently being disrupted, which fair play to them, because that's fine. They have the right to do that. I'm not trying to, take something away from what they're doing, but that's where the disappointment comes from. And in the end, he gets targeted because, he's a very creative player at the moment. And what that means is teams will target him, and he needs to get better at dealing with that if he's going to progress, and he will progress because he's desperate to get better, and he'll grow.
Okay.
Just on the
Last one. Just one question. One last question. Thank you.
I'm just saying, so you've got no issues with teams handling him, kicking him, and that sort of stuff?
I think the refs have to. I think the referees have to be aware of that and do their job. I mean, I do my job, which is coaching, and they got to do their job, which is refereeing. And if that's happening in a game, they need to have the ability to recognise that and probably address it early in the game, and then that may possibly would allow the game to flow more.
Just on disruption, like how much of that is a league-wide trade? And that happens very early in the game. Milking or getting the most out of breaks in play. I guess, how do you go from there in getting referees to start putting them all, putting a better stamp on that play?
Just think that's referees' job to review situations in a game in the same way we have to review our performance. Just review your performance and try to get better. I'm not saying they're giving it their best, obviously, and they're trying to manage the game as well as they can, but overall, it's a spectacle, and people want to watch a game that has a bit of flow to it, I think.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone.